Many mind-blowing details were hidden in One Piece's live action that were so small that you could have missed them. One of the early introduced small details in One Piece live action is the news coup bird. This bird is a major distributor of Morgan's World Economy newspaper in the world of One Piece. And this bird is in the manga and anime doing the same distribution too. However, you probably missed the animal in the show because not much reference or introduction was made about it. Also, it looked just like an average bird, but its importance is very well known in the franchise. The first time the bird is seen is when Luffy is first introduced, and he's alone on his little boat, where he asks the news coup bird to join his pirate crew. Although its introduction was brief, only true loyal fans of the manga and anime would have recognized the bird. It's no longer news that Chopper will be one of the newly added characters in One Piece 2. However, this character was hinted at earlier in Season 1 in a tiny detail that you probably missed. As soon as Luffy discovered Buggy's circus even while being held captive, he asked Buggy if they had cotton candy. This simple questioning line made a considerable reference to Chopper in some way, as the reindeer loves cotton candy. Although Luffy is a character who loves any type of food, the cotton candy request is too precise just to be one of his hunger needs. And it was a slight hint to show Luffy is somehow connected to crew members that would still get introduced. The crazy thing about One Piece live action is that Buggy had much more adventure than what was portrayed, especially after Luffy, Zoro, and Nami conquered him. If you thought Buggy being reduced to only his head, hands, and legs was his weakest point, then you thought wrong. That little version of Buggy is actually called Chibi Buggy, which is a detail you probably didn't know because One Piece 1 didn't expand much on it before Arlong captured him. The Chibi Buggy had an adventure on the island of rare animals, but this wasn't included in the show. However, the way Chibi Buggy looks is briefly shown, which is an Easter egg that viewers might not know means something more. When Luffy and his crew got to meet Usopp and even got to go to Kaya's mansion, Zoro thought Klahadore was familiar, and on second thought, he remembered he must have seen him before at Funky Bar, to which Klahadore replied that he doesn't visit that kind of establishment, even though the Funky Bar and what it's really all about wasn't explored in the live action. It's an essential place from the manga and anime that was added as an Easter egg. The Funky Bar is a place in the Mirror Ball Island and was first seen in the anime during Django's Dance Carnival feature. You might not know Django, but he was referenced again in another little detail that's easy to miss. As a popular marine base where Axehand Morgan was based, Shell's Town has a lot of pirate wanted posters. While Alvida and Buggy were some of the main villains in One Piece 1 who were posted as wanted, several other pirates that didn't make an appearance were also hinted at. In Shell's Town, you probably missed out on the wanted posters of Django, Cavendish, and Foxy. Viewers may not have met them, but the Easter egg of having their faces on signs shows they are a big part of One Piece's world. Towards the end of One Piece, after Luffy finally got his face on a wanted poster, the news traveled really wide and got to Kaya, who immediately noticed Usopp on the page. Interestingly, there's more to that scene that you didn't see. While Kaya was going through the newspaper that contained the information, there was another headline that talked about the Revolutionary Army. This organization is very significant and is against the world government. So like pirates, they're also enemies of the Marine and other authorities in One Piece. And since they weren't included in Season 1, the small detail shows that they are a big part of One Piece's world. Arlong is more famous for his hatred for humans, and he was the only fishman who had a significant impact and was a big threat to every human around in Season 1. But what many viewers don't know is that another fishman, Jinbe, is also very famous, as he's one of the 7 warlords of the sea, and Arlong hated him so much for it. Although Jinbe isn't in the show, he's referenced as another powerful fishman in the One Piece world. Aside from Jinbe being a part of the world's power, he's also critical to the Straw Hats crew, as he joined them later in the manga. So the bare mention of his name is a huge hint and detail as to what the future holds. The live action tries to hide many small details and things that could get easily overlooked. One of them is the introductory and special title cards. Of course, you probably noticed that this wasn't the same for every episode, but there is more to the designs than you can imagine. Episode 1 of the live action was a reference to Luffy's character, while the second one is another hint to Buggy, and it usually comes before a new character or villain is introduced. Apart from getting inspiration for the designs from the characters, some images from the anime were also adapted, showing things like Usopp's nose and Sanji's heart eyes. Baroque Works is one of the influential organizations in One Piece. and they first appeared earlier in the live action when Mr. 7 tried to recruit Zoro before he was gotten rid of. This small detail about the original Mr. 7 is more exciting because even manga fans didn't get the privilege of seeing him in action. In the manga, some members of the Baroque Works only referred to how Zoro executed a former Mr. 7 during recruitment. One Piece's live action introduction started with a narrator who told the story of Gold Roger and how he set a new world of piracy and charged people to hit the sea and go after treasures. The narrator, who many viewers didn't pay much attention to, is Ian McShane. And you might be wondering what makes him significant to the story. Ian getting to narrate for a piracy series isn't a coincidence, as he played Blackbeard in Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. Blackbeard is one of the most notorious pirates that has ever lived and has hidden treasures at sea too. And just like in One Piece, where pirates are trying hard to find Gold Roger's treasure, Blackbeard's treasure also seems impossible to find. So the character has a remarkable resemblance to Gold Roger, and this is a hidden Easter egg that's so hard to figure out. Roger's execution in the show was the highlight of what gave many upcoming pirates the confidence to go after the One Piece. But then there was a lot more happening in that scene that you didn't see. Many essential characters of this series that were later introduced one after the other were hinted at in the execution. During the execution, some of the famous personalities like Mihawk, Smoker, and even Shanks were shown as their younger selves at the scene. It's easy to miss these people, especially since some of them were hinted at the beginning before they were fully revealed later. Although many viewers didn't notice them, they were still able to see their faces even though they couldn't name them. However, what's more crazy is the appearance of a mysterious person in a green cloak. What makes this person strange is the fact that their face wasn't revealed, unlike the other significant characters at the execution. But from the anime, the person who's known to rock a green cloak is Dragon. This character could be a big part of season 2, as he's Luffy's father and also the leader of the Revolutionary Army. His appearance at the beginning of One Piece 1 shows that more can be expected from him in the future of the show. Famous characters' cameos weren't the only hidden details at the beginning of One Piece. Before the public execution scene was shown, there was a scene where the world of One Piece was revealed with many ships on the water, and even though it looks normal because ships are obviously a big part of piracy, some of the ships were placed as Easter eggs, but most viewers wouldn't know. In that scene, there was Mihawk's paddle boat and even Gold Roger's ship, Oro Jackson. A dog was briefly shown after Luffy and his crew saved Orange Town from Buggy, but this dog was only added as a hint, even though he plays a much more significant role in the original series. Chucho, the guard dog, is a tiny and young pet who doesn't look threatening but tries to save its owner's store even though Buggy got rid of the owner. Although its significance wasn't shown on screen as it only joined the villagers to see the Straw Hats off. His appearance is a small detail that references the story behind the dog and its protective nature. Barati Restaurant is one of the beautiful locations in One Piece live action, but then there was more to this restaurant than you noticed. At the restaurant, there are many designs and paintings on the wall, and many of these details point to one thing or another in the One Piece universe. A picture on the wall reveals the island of rare animals and Gaimon. There's also a painting of the royal squid at Barati that Luffy and his crew will encounter while exploring the Grand Line. Although these things weren't in the show, they are small details that portray what has happened or what will happen in the One Piece universe. Which of these hidden details are your best Easter eggs of One Piece live action?